Greg, so tell me about yourself, your role in the company, what you do.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm Electrical Services Director of Workplace Builds. Look after the design, concept, client brief, estimation, design, all the way through to project management and project delivery for the electrical designs for all the clients that we deal with.
Very good. So my name is Miles. I'm the Innovation Director at Mount Lighting. So my role is product development, innovation, marketing strategy, kind of covering where the company's going and new products we're developing all through. So yeah, we work closely together with you guys. So tell me a bit of the story of how you first came in touch with Mount Lighting at the beginning. How did you come across us? How did the story begin?
It started with a previous working life, knew Perry, and we were introduced because we were in the local vicinity, and it sort of developed as a working relationship. So when I sort of moved to Workplace Build, I sort of stayed in contact and come on the journey with us to help build and develop and progress the journey that we were where we were at that point from a brand new company.
So we were the right partner for you at that particular point of the journey.
Yeah, it was obviously quite daunting.
Starting
out from scratch and getting everything, getting all your sort of working partners around you to take it forward and develop that. So it had its challenges, and we supported each other, and here we are.
Yeah, we definitely did. Yeah, that's good. So what particularly about Mount then was it that made us a relevant partner for you when you were starting up at that early stage, but then also developing into the size of company you are today? What are the features of the company that make it a valuable partnership for you?
Just supporting us as a company, looking from the design, concept, problem solving, to the types of lighting that you can provide, the bespoke elements, to basically bring sort of the lighting package together, whether that's all new, sort of, developing, relocating and fitting within something that we're relocating, going from a Cat A to a Cat B fit out, with sort of that integration of being able to modify existing, or that integration of new products within that, each and every design that we deal with.
Yeah, it's all different. Yeah, it's important for us because we've been quite deliberate in development of our product range, so that all of the products we've got are focused on the workplace. That's an important definition of our niche, if you like, and obviously that's the space you guys work in. But it's very deliberate on our part to have everything that you need for a workplace project, so that we either manufacture it or we have quick access to it. It's important for us. So how does our in-house manufacturing capability support what you're doing as a delivery partner on site, as it were?
It helps support us with regards to having that sort of flexibility that some projects are a bit more complex than others, and that every project has a different time frame and a lead in and a construction period. So it's having that sort of flexibility on that control, and that if something is needed, it can be split into split deliveries for certain phases of projects, and working with us, basically just trying to factor that in so that we're not being held up ourselves and attracting penalties and that side of things. So it's having that in-house manufacturing for the bespoke and some more sort of like standard product lines does help us.
Yeah, it's good because I think the rigour of us having an in-house manufacturing capability actually enhances the standard ranges as well, because there's lots we can do with the standard products to augment them, add emergency packs, add control types, Casambi wireless control, for example, and having the capability in-house to do all of those things actually enhances the whole of what we do as a package. So although we don't manufacture everything we sell, it's important to have that technical knowledge and the capability to deliver it. It's also a feature of our sales team that the majority of our sales guys have been electrical contractors themselves, so they kind of understand how the site guys think, and that's important. Does that come through as a valuable thing for you in dealing with us as a team?
Fundamentally, it's you've got to have that open dialogue. You've got to have that open, honest dialogue where if something isn't quite going right on your side, then be the first one to talk about it, and that is portrayed through the sales team or and through the production manufacturing side.
Yep.
And if we're experiencing problems, you know about it, and having that two-way sort of conversation relationship, so that everyone is aware. If we know about something, we can manage that. We can manage the risk, and that is ultimately pretty much everything that we're doing, especially in the design and build part of the industry. So it's knowing that we can then work with it, we can work around it, and if not, then we have another conversation and we work something else out until we get a resolve that we're all happy about.
Agreed.
And I think that's happened on a number of occasions.
Yes, and I think we'd want that quality of relationship to continue, because the honesty is really important for quality of project, but quality of communication and working relationship as well. So we definitely value that you're prepared to be honest, and we like to be clear in our communication as well. So we're not good on fluff as a company. We like to cut to the chase as a rule. So that promotes the honesty that's necessary for these kind of projects in this marketplace, and especially when we haven't got long lead times typically to work with. There's not a lot of time for extra fluff. So to be able to just focus on what's important contributes to a quality of relationship. So we definitely value that as well. So that's good.
I think it's also important of having the right amount and the correct amount of information at the design stage, and getting that client brief as close as possible, and getting an understanding from the client and being able to put that into place. Even if it's not a client-led, if it's a designer-led piece where they're looking at for a certain, they've visualised an area within the space. They don't know where that light fitting might be or where it exists, but that's what they want it to look like. And we can take their sort of visual concept and make it, and then deliver it and install it. And that's the sort of the bit that I enjoy taking out of it.
That is good. Being able to take that visual perspective, the idea that the client's got in their mind, and actually turn that into reality is a fun part of this whole design and build marketplace for sure. Yeah. And we enjoy that as well. There's also technical support that we obviously provide you guys in terms of lighting design calculations and that kind of thing. So we like to take as much of the burden of design that's sensible for us to take on as professionals. We like to take some of that on. We obviously can't take all the risk on, but it's important for us to support you in that way. So is that valuable for you guys as well? Does that help to share the risk in an appropriate way?
Yeah, I mean that's an element where, for us, can be time consuming. We've always got to try and strike that balance with time, design, development, and trying to manage that with the client's expectations of how fast or slow they want that sort of procedure to sort of flow at. So that's where you do help us out with that sort of back of house sort of design, lighting design, and looking at it, maybe something that we might have missed, or that support in the background is really helpful.
Yeah, that's good. So in terms of lead time then, and the ability of that we have to take that in-house production capacity and then apply it in the real world, where have you found that's particularly valuable to you from the lead time point of view? Obviously, we all have a certain amount of lead time to work with, but for example, sometimes project requirements come up at very short notice at the end of a project because the clients, it happens, change their mind. Does that then become valuable to you, the ability that we've got a certain level of stock holding and we can actually deliver that at short notice for these requests that do pop up? We can't avoid it, they do happen.
And that is important for us to help. That things are always developing and morphing and changing, and that can be within the final week of a project. So having that support is really helpful.
It's also actually an interesting and maybe not very commonly spoken about aspect of Kasambi, the wireless control, is that the ability to actually shape it right at the end of the project, at the commissioning phase, to what the customer wants is an important part of what we like to offer under the Kasambi umbrella, because it's really, really hard to visualize lighting on a page. 3D design is not really a thing that the industry is into very much, and we're all operating with 2D drawings, and it's really hard for the clients to actually visualize what it's going to be like, even with a quality rendering. So being able to iterate the design from the lighting point of view, we feel is a valuable piece of delivery quality, if you like, to the design industry, because it just helps the client to be happy at the end and actually take a part in what the space looks like at the end. We see that as a developing marketplace. We've obviously done quite a few Kasambi projects together, but how do you see that evolving in the future?
Think the latest evolution we had was obviously going into LED lighting. That was the massive shift into, and when I was involved, when all that was coming in, it was very daunting at first. It was like, oh, new technology, oh. And it was a bit similar to when Kasambi then came in and having the sort of, oh, hang on a minute, this is sort of more of an open concept of controls. So again, it was sort of, oh, new technology, and then it's sort of that's what I get inspired about, with the constant evolving technology and new products that are just always out there. It's just always evolving. But that's what I get excited about, is that if something comes out, is it good? Is it, and balancing it up between, there is a efficiency with cost, design. Does it, tick all the boxes with regards to regulations? And that's part of my role, is before anything can be rolled onto any of our projects, it's got to be, is it proven? Is it tested? Can it do this? Does it comply to that? Making sure that before I can even contemplate going, right, I can put this in front of a client and go, and I feel confident that we can sell this, or propose this as part of, oh, that would look good on that project, or that would look good here. Yeah, I think moving forward, yes, there is a 2D element to the design. There is the 3D visualization part of the design, where you can create within a space to the client and visualize to them what it's going to look like, where they can mess around with the color palettes and the colors, finishes, whether the different types of lighting and styles of what they want to create in the space. Also, fundamentally, you've got to fit the client's budget. So it's where I get involved is let the designers do their thing,
settle down a bit,
and let them have fun doing that part, making it work, making it functional, making sure that they're ticking all of the relevant design boxes. And then from the lighting point of, like, right, this is now what you want to create. I can create pretty much anything you give me, anything you visualize that you want to give me. I can pretty much source, manufacture, control that's something that you've come up with in that visual. So that's quite a key tool within the sort of the design process to help the client visualize and sort of work out what they're going to achieve within that space. So yeah, and that's where I think moving forward, there's the likes of the Revit and BIM, and that's where I think it's going to go forward. And that's something that we're looking at in-house to move into the 3D drawing, which, and the massive advantages of using those packages as well.
Yeah, that's really good.
The construction industry.
We are putting quite a bit more effort now into BIM files ourselves, and you can actually embed the LDT IES files into the BIM file as well, which means that virtual reality pre-renderings of a project can actually be pretty accurate. And one of my visions is to be able to create different lighting scenes in the VR renderings at the beginning. So you can actually set up what the control protocols are going to be really early on, and the client has a very good idea of what that visualization is going to be, even with the space as it is, and then with you're only changing the lighting scenes. That's a really valuable part of the design process. And I think there's a preconception that 3D design is very expensive, but actually you can make better quality design decisions in 3D, which can therefore shorten the length of design process, which means it's not necessarily more expensive. So yeah, there's good innovations to happen in that space for sure, and we've got we are ourselves also working with some architectural design partners and BIM file partners and that sort of thing to bring that sort of thing to life. You can drive the asset control of a building's life and therefore sustainability, etc., if you've got quality digital assets of the lighting and everything else that you've got in that project. So there's a lot to come in that space for sure.
Is there anything you can see that moves forward with controls? Is there a next stage? Is there more?
I think your point about LED being an evolution is a really important one, because I think in terms of the LED design cycle, we've basically bottomed that out. There's not much more efficiency to have. There's one particular aspect of lighting design is glare control, which I think is starting to become within people's awareness a lot more, especially from the wellness perspective, because we've historically had a lot of relatively high glare products, and there's a focus now shifting to the lower glare options, which we've always had, but the demand for them has definitely started to increase, I would say. So we've got a variety of product ranges which are coming to fulfill that need and coming online. So that's a particular sort of mini niche that we see developing. I think that the whole wireless controls and the point you made about the open protocol as well is really important, because that just gives that level of future proofing that you don't get any other way. So many of the control packages up to date have been closed protocol ones, which is really, really limiting in the real world to the client, and they don't like that anymore. And people are wanting something that's a lot more flexible for the future, and having an open ecosystem that any lighting manufacturer can build on top of is one of the reasons we put as much effort as we have into Kasambi, and obviously helping you in that education process and bringing that to market. And we've obviously done a good number of projects now together with Kasambi, so that's good. So that's a piece of innovation that we definitely see. And I think the 3D design is a really important one, because it's so relatively hard to visualize properly a space unless you do it in 3D. So the ability of AR and VR to just shorten that design process and give people the ability to make those quality design decisions, that really makes sense. But those are the areas I would see it evolving in. Let's talk about then a favourite project, or one you'd pick out as an interesting one. So we were discussing this beforehand and kind of agreeing on a project that we enjoyed working on together, but perhaps you could take us through the story of that, how that came about and the interesting design process that it involved and so forth.
Yeah, so the standout project was a gaming company where it was multi-layers of design and integration and the client's requirements, and just the level of lighting detail that went into that. I know me and you spent months on that, and I spent months, weekly meetings with the client, layering in, once we got the fundamental sort of office lighting sort of agreed with the client, and then it was moving into then the layers of detail lighting, with LED, through the floors, through joinery pieces, the really big joinery displays and everything that we had on that project. So it was integrating all of those controls into those displays and reception and the floors and the walls and with the different colours and the themes and to fit with the client branding. And it was just that multiple layers. I've never had a project with so many layers of design, and then trying to sort of put that and portray and keeping you on board, because it's almost like, okay, I'll do my bit and sort of get it to a point, and then I could bring you into the journey without trying to sort of just use your time as efficiently as possible, and making sure that everything's accounted for and designed in and coordinated with all the different flooring types and the ceiling types. And that was the most enjoyable sort of involved project, and even through to the end. I know it was quite intense and challenging, exciting for you to commission
it
with us.
It was a really good fun project actually, but it certainly was intense, that's for sure. And just the layers that there was a particular thread of colour running through the whole project that they were really quite intentional about using colour in lots of interesting ways, and that was really fun. Setting up different scenes in Kasambi with different colours and that sort of thing was was a definitely enjoyable experience, if intense. And yeah, the layers of design, there was a lot of it. There's just a lot of detail to process and a lot of working through it all and all the different phases and evolutions. And there were also a lot of different types of spaces on that one project. There wasn't a lot of consistency. There were some big floors, but there were lots of different types of spaces that all need a quite unique approach. So yeah, it was a lot of working together, that's for sure. That's a good one. Well, I appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this, and look forward to more years working together. Much appreciated.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.